Oh, hold up.
We count down.
Hold it. Well, hello, everybody. Happy. Oh, goodness. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. This is my second public speaking in business today, and I have the distinguished pleasure of having Tisha Mitchell with me. But as always, I like to give a quick, roundup, letting everybody know that the Model Speakers Academy is officially open. And if you know somebody who needs help with public speaking, then you need to sign them up or they need to sign up. And I'm actually having a webinar after our call today. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. So definitely you want to sign up for the webinar if you have not already done so, because I'm sure you're going to get some great impact to find out what all great things Model Speakers Academy has to offer. And it's a lot of great stuff that we have to offer. So definitely, you want to tune into that. But I'm not going to delay. I want Tisha to introduce herself, tell us about her business, what she has going on, and then we're going to jump into our discussion.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Tisha Mitchell, also known as your midlife makeover maven. And of course, I have a coach that says, give your story a voice and a bank account. And public speaking is the way that I do that. In my life, I am a speaker, trainer, and coach. And so it's all about being able to communicate a message, right? My background is in human services. And then as a real estate agent in sales, it's all about how you're communicating the message that you've got to get to your audience. And so for me, I kind of knew public speaking would be part of my life when I was in the 8th grade, when I was in speech class, and we had to do what's called an impromptu speech. And you had to draw out a topic out of a hat, and you had 2 minutes to decide what you were going to say and deliver a 2-minute impromptu speech. And the title that was on my piece of paper was called Pets. That's all she said. That's all it was on the paper. It said pets. And I started off that impromptu speech with pets are a big responsibility. I don't know where it went from there, but I got a standing ovation in that class. And,
Wow.
I'm always a talkaholic, right? I'm be
Mhm.
quiet, just talking. You might say something to me and you tell me to be quiet and I'll be talking again. I mean, it is what it is. But what's interesting about that is I've not always been able to communicate with the people that I'm closest to. I'm
Mm.
excellent at communicating with strangers. I'm
Mhm.
excellent at teaching. I'm excellent at sales. But sometimes my interpersonal skills with people who I'm closest to has been a challenge over
Wow.
time.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things that in my business, the one thing that I am never afraid of is opening my mouth. How I deliver the message, I've had to hone in on.
Gotcha. Well, that's a beautiful introduction. I'm a talker myself. Growing up, I used to, talk in school. That was written on my report card. But that's awesome that you were able to, have your first impromptu speech, and from what you're saying, you tore it up. You did a good job. So that's excellent. And it's interesting that you said that you are more, I guess, introverted with your family and friends, and then more extroverted with people you don't know. Is that kind of a way to look at
I
it?
would say introverted. I would say codependent, high
Okay.
function codependent. And so I grew up in an environment where my voice was not always celebrated. And so because of that,
Mm.
sometimes in environments with people who I am closest to or that I love, I'm very guarded about how I speak. And it's interesting
Mm.
because I remember being in a relationship with someone and I was talking to them because I'm in real estate, right? I was talking to
Right.
them about what I know something about. Baby, you're going to have me talk about real estate all day long. And they looked at me and they say, "What do you know about real estate? Who told you you know what you're talking about?" And I remember shrinking at that point. That
Mm.
was someone who was very important to me. But I've sold
Mm.
millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate. But when someone who's close to me challenges
Mm.
what I say, I have had a tendency in the past to shut down. And so there was this level of awareness to say, why is it that you shrink your voice with people who maybe put you in a box where in
Mhm.
the world you're celebrated for using that same voice?
Wow, the ironies of life. Yeah. And sometimes it's unfortunate that people close to us want to keep us, like you said, in a box. and they don't want to see us progress out of what they remember us as. They like to remember when, or I knew you then, or who are you to now be this big boss in charge? And they're not used to seeing you in that light. So sometimes, unfortunately, the people closest to us can sometimes want to hold us back and keep us to what they know or remember. But, you got to celebrate and, still march on. Like, yeah, that used to be me. That's who you used to know. But this is where I am today. And so, yeah, we have to go where we're celebrated and not tolerated. So, amen that were able to continue doing your thing and selling millions of dollars a home. Something if you're able to get that kind of sales. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's
But,
actually interesting is that those stories now, those times of when my
mhm,
voice was muted, are the things that I speak most about now. And it's
wow.
so incredible to really be able to be in a community that people are able to say, yeah, that happened to me. And that
Mhm.
happened to me. And now I can put language, right, to
Yes.
things that were uncomfortable maybe in the past. And I really didn't
Mhm.
know what I was experiencing, but I get it now. I get it now.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of our experiences are not something so far fetched. A lot of us are having the same experience, just in different locations. We're in different bodies, it's different people, but it's the same experience. So when we're able to share our voices or communicate, then we're able to help somebody else because, hey, I got through it and you can too. So that's
Absolutely.
excellent. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the first question. Why do you think public speaking is such an important skill for business professionals today?
So I heard a quote once that says, "The quality of your life is in the quality of your communication skills." And what that
Mm,
means is, if you're going through something, or if you have something tough, or if there's something that you need to deal with, you can only do that when you can put language to it. And
mhm.
so, oftentimes, we have things that are going on with us, and maybe we don't even know what that is. But the more we talk about it, the more we communicate it, the more that we're able to get that out, the more we're able to explain how we feel about something, or even put language to what we're going through, the more healing and cathartic that is, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm also one of those people who always wants to share what I know. And, I know that we all have common experiences. I just happen to be the first person that always wanted to put my voice out there and be transparent about the things that I have gone through. And over time, I realized that that has been helpful to people along the way. And the more I talk, the more confident I become in what I'm speaking about, the more I'm able to command an audience, but generally I come from a place of contribution when I'm speaking.
Well, that's excellent. And I love that quote you said that, the quality of your life is determined by your quality of communication because I like to say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if you're
Absolutely.
not vocal about what your needs are and what can help you be better, if you're not articulating yourself, then you may not be getting what you need or what's necessary for your progression. But the people who are talking are getting what they need. So we have
Yeah,
to learn to speak up for ourselves in business, in personal life, work, community, family, in all the areas because, you can have the greatest idea in the room, but if nobody knows it, if you don't share it, then it doesn't matter. So we have to be able to vocalize, what it is that we need or want.
and I think it's also important to realize that, especially when you've gone through things, right? You've
Mhm.
experienced things, you've overcome things. Speaking about your experiences really does change lives. It really does open doors. It does allow other people to be able to say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me," or "Oh yeah, how did you get over that?" And so for me, I'm always, kind of saying, "How may I support you?" And often that
Mm.
comes from just being able to communicate with people one on one. But I believe, honestly, it's just been something that has come naturally for me. How I speak, what I speak about, I've honed in and gotten, a little bit more intentional about that. But as far as being able to communicate, always good. However, I've not always been in an environment that allowed me to freely speak.
And that's what many, dare I say, women and women of color, to be more exact, experience. And so that's a part of, why I even have this platform. And it's funny because you and I talked, privately beforehand, this different adversities I've experienced. So I won't get into it, but it makes me realize that this message needs to get out there. We need to empower one another to share our voices, to really speak up. And so
Absolutely.
that's amazing. But I just want you to share one, I guess, particular moment where public speaking significantly impacted, your career or business.
Oh goodness. Well, I can say that in my current role, right? I am the director of training for a large real estate company, and
Okay.
so I actually do feel like kind of the power, and this is not a power trip, right? The power of
Hmm.
how I communicate with the agents that I train and coach has a huge effect on the quality of their lives. And so as I see them, some of them coming in for coaching or training or even one-on-one sessions, to be able to kind of pull out of them where they are and really talk with them through spaces where there might be a challenge, and really offering them an opportunity to reframe what that is and help them kind of get through barriers, to get to the other side. The same is true in selling real estate, right? And having to communicate with these buyers and sellers. Often they're in, an emotional space, and this is like the largest investment many people are going to experience. And they've got to be
Absolutely.
someone that they can trust and that they can respect. And that comes from knowing what you know, and also being able to communicate it in a way that they can take and digest. And so there's some things that I, would observe growing up, right? And you notice in Hollywood, right? You see the celebrities, they going through something, they've been dealing with something crazy, and they write a book about it, or they
Hmm.
they write a movie about it, or there's a speech about it. There is no sense in going through trauma or adversity without putting language to it in order to help somebody else. And so this is
Right.
just something that I, observed over time. And I'm like, when I'm going through it, I'm just going to tell it. I'm going to tell it, and I'm going to invite some people in to share the
Mhm.
experience with them, create a safe space for them. And, for me, over the past 4 years, I went through a divorce. I turned
Mhm.
50. I was in menopause and had some major life changes. And it was a very, very, very dark time. And what I realized is that the women who were telling their story about it, whether it be in book form, a speech, a conversation, an audio book, the folks that were telling the story made me feel like I was not alone. And because that was
Mm.
such a time for me, I did not want to go through that time without turning it for good in some sort of way. And so for me, I noticed that, in my family, the women, when they got to be my age, they really went through a lot of challenges.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm going to be silent about that. Right. So I wasn't looking forward to turning 50 because of the things that I had witnessed in the past. And I was
Mhm.
like, I really want it to be different for me. I really want to invite women to say, just because you've seen something historically, it does not have to be your story. And if I can get through it, you can get through it. So if I can encourage you and motivate you, or be transparent with you about the things that I've experienced, perhaps that will change the trajectory of someone's life.
Absolutely. And thanks for, sharing, your transparency about what you've, gone through. And two things stood out to me. First thing, it showed community. I feel like when you were talking about being able to share your experiences, or when others share their experiences and how it made you feel, that to me says we need more community. And when you communicate, you can build community, because the
Absolutely.
words are similar. And so to
Absolutely.
me, you get community when you're able to communicate, and you can support one another. And then also, I got from what you said is that we can at any point change our story. We don't have to allow, past generations or what our families experienced, or even what people in the workplace, or anybody else's narrative does not have to become our narrative. And even if we start in that direction, doesn't mean that we can't change it. Doesn't mean that we can't make a decision, just wake up and say, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is not serving me. And I want to try something else. I want to try something new. And
But it's
so,
interesting that you say that, right? Because when oftentimes, we want to change. We want to change our lives, but we don't know how. And it's
right.
not until we kind of step out of the circle that we're in and we realize that maybe somebody else has experienced it different or done it differently, that it gives us not only the permission, but sometimes the path to
Mm,
change the way that we've always done things. And so for me, if I can prevent someone else from
mhm,
going through something, or at least being able to say, yeah, I went through that too, it allows people to understand, okay, this too shall pass.
Oh
or
yes.
there's skill set that I could derive, or there's something positive that can come out of that, even if I don't see it in this moment. So I've
Hmm.
always had the mindset, if she can do it, I can do it. And
Hmm.
I'd like to be that for other women as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And so my next question is, what are some common public speaking challenges many business professionals face, and how can they overcome them?
I think it's really like the fear in our own mind, right? We're
Hmm.
always concerned about, not always, but in general, we're concerned about what other people are going to think. So we are in our people
Yes.
pleasing selves. We are concerned about people judging us or saying things to us that, would make us feel uncomfortable. But the only way to get through it is to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't ever really get over that until you just do it. Like I've always been kind of the person where if it's a challenge to me, I gotta push through it. Right now I have a rental house that is 3 stories,
Mm.
and on the bottom level is water. On the main level is roaches, and in the upper level is rats and bats. And I'm sitting up here and I'm totally terrified about what's happening with this house. But at the end of the day, I'm like, the only way to get over the fear of fixing this house is to fix the house. And
Yeah.
so, in TD Jakes' speech on his sermon on Sunday was about trust your wings. The branch may
Hmm.
break, but trust your wings. And so
Hmm.
for me, even though this is difficult, I have 2 options. And this is kind of how I make decisions. When you're 70 or on your deathbed and you look back, will you wish you had or regret that you didn't? And so for
Hmm.
me, although this is very challenging, I could throw up my hands and say, this is too big. I don't want to deal with it. Or I can say, this is the challenge that God has given me, and I will rise to the occasion to make it work. And so
Hmm.
even now I'm doing things that are uncomfortable, but I'm finding my way. And one of the things that I'm also realizing is that I don't have to do it alone. There's
Hmm.
somebody here to help me through everything that I'm going through. And bigger
Right.
than that, right? So we talked about me going through a divorce. I believe that this house that's full of all the stuff is really kind of a metaphor for me really building my life. And
Mm.
so it's like you can kind of shrink away and go back and do what's comfortable, or you can rise to whatever's required for you to rebuild your life. And that
Hmm.
house, since I'm in real estate, is just a metaphor for the same thing. So I got to push through
Right.
because I am not going to be the person that is shrinking down because I was afraid to rise to the challenge.
Absolutely. And I love that metaphor. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I haven't always been that way. And so I would
Hmm.
say to the folks who are afraid of doing it, ain't nothing to it but to do it. And you're going to make
Right.
mistakes, and you just have to give yourself some grace and just understand this is a learning opportunity. And with God, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Absolutely. And yeah, I love that. It's short and sweet to the point. A lot of things I think we fear, and our thoughts sometimes make that anticipation of the thing worse than what it really is. Because I don't like going to the dentist
All
because
right.
I don't want to get stuck in the gum and the
Right. Right.
drilling and all of that. But usually when I get in the chair and we go through the motions, yes, there are uncomfortable moments, but my anticipation of it happening was worse than the actual being in the chair going through the experience. And so I think that's a lot of times with life, like, I need to clean my closet, or I need to, fix or clean or do something that I just don't want to do. I dread it. And so I allow my emotions to take me on this ride, and I go through more than I have to, necessarily go through. But like you said, it's nothing to it but just to do it. So if we just create a plan,
That's it.
write it out. Like you
That's it.
said, there are some people who can help me because we don't
Right.
have to always do stuff alone. A lot of times we want to be able to say, hey, I did it by myself. Nobody helped me. But why do that? If there's somebody who can help lighten the load, make the journey easy, go ahead and do it. Outsource it. Go ahead and pay somebody else to take care of it so that you can get that extra sleep, that extra rest, the extra peace of mind. So a lot of things that we fear, you know, it's like the word fear itself, false evidence appearing real. It's not even real what we're thinking, because we sometimes think the worst. We have it all planned out of, oh, it's going to be like this, be like that. But it's like almost like, okay, I don't like this situation. It's aggravating, it's annoying, but I know I got to do it because nobody can do the work for you. Certain things we got to do ourselves. we can get help with the process, but ultimately we still got to show up. So
Mhm.
a lot of times we just need to just go ahead and just make it happen. Just go ahead and do it. And then I think we also should reward ourselves. You know, pat yourself on the back when you do get through those tough challenges or those moments. So when you get that house set up and ready, then that means you need to have a party at the house, or you need to do
Oh,
some type of thing to celebrate, because we don't celebrate those small wins. And no matter what it is, if you did it and it was uncomfortable, you got through it, then celebrate that process.
absolutely. And here's the thing, I think that's where like building relationships and coaching comes in, right? Our coaches, for us to have a coach is really no different than just following behind someone who's already done it and
Right.
allowing yourself to lean into the wisdom that came from the mistakes that they made, and so that you don't have to make those same things. It really is a shortcut to mastery. It
Hmm.
is, I have this coach, they have done already what it is that I want to do. I can start fresh and try to figure it out on my own, or I can partner with someone who says, hey, I've already made that mistake. I've cleared a path for you. If you'd like to follow my trail, I got you covered. And I think that's what your business does is, they say, and it's, I don't want to say it's funny. It's not funny. It's only because
Hmm.
it's not my challenge, right? That public speaking, it ranks up there with like death, that people are like deathly
Yes,
afraid of speaking. You don't get past that until you speak, right? And you
that's
realize
right.
even if you bumble through it, you didn't die. You didn't die. It was
Right.
just difficult and you're on the other side. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for
Hmm.
doing things afraid, right? Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you have to pause. That just
Right.
means that maybe you just need to add some infrastructure in an area, or you need some help, or you've got to partner with someone to help you get to the other side.
Absolutely. That was very well said. Yes, we coaches are there to help us. They've been down that road. They know things. So why take a year to do something that you can do in 6 months? Or why take 30
Uh,
days when you can do it in 2 weeks? They help shorten the time. They give you the blueprint. And I mean, yeah, you still have to do the work, but they make it easier. And so I feel like life has enough challenges on its own. So if you can get somebody to come alongside you in whatever the area is, public speaking is my thing, but in your case, hey, real estate, or you do speaking as well. If we can help you, allow us to help.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And so my last question is, what is one essential tip that you would give to someone looking to improve their public speaking skills?
Preparation. I
Hmm.
think preparation, doing your research, right? Learning
Hmm.
whatever it is that you need to learn about whatever subject that you're speaking on, right? So if you're afraid of speaking, write out your speech. Speak to someone in an enclosed environment and ask for feedback. Ask someone to tell you, someone you trust, right? And I need us
Yes.
to be very careful because oftentimes we're asking for feedback from people who are not safe, who are not
Hmm.
going to care for our heart, and who are critical. That
Right.
ain't what I'm talking about. I am talking about being with people who will challenge you to do things. So I had a speech coach that I was kind of afraid to go live on Facebook or do Facebook recording. Like I just felt uncomfortable. And I
Right.
was that way for 2 years. And
Mm.
she said, I challenge you to go live on social media every day for 30 days. And
Wow.
she said, and if you're not going to go live, at least record a video and post it. Child,
Right.
I wasn't going live. I went, well, actually, I was. And here's what happened. I got my little phone. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and speak. Girl, I got to speaking in that phone and I was just talking. I was just doing my thing and realized that I had not hit the record button. And I sat there and I said, okay, Tisha, you got two options. You can let this assignment lick you, or you can actually do it. And so I finally hit the record button and I said, child, my coach, told me to go live. And I had all this profound stuff to say, and I ain't even hit the record button. I don't remember
Hmm.
what I said, but we're going to try it again. What I was able to do is to take that mistake, take the bite off of it, the edge off of it, and say,
Yes.
I'm not going to let this lick me. I said I was going to do it. I messed it up the first time. Let's laugh about it, and I'm going to do it again. And for every day of those 30 days, I got better and better and better and better. And after
Exactly.
that 30-day period, I was no longer afraid to do it. 2 years it took me to
Wow.
just answer the call. And when someone says, I challenge you, and I messed up, and I forgot what I said, and it wasn't perfect, but I did it for 30
Right.
days. Here we are.
Right. And I love that you say that. You got to prepare or you got to just get started. We got to go ahead and do it. And it's not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back. They want to be perfect. They don't want to make any mistakes. They have imposter syndrome. They have all these thoughts in their head about somebody's going to judge me. Are they going to think that I'm, doing dot, 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 dot. Or if I mess up, so what? We all
And
mess up.
guess
And like you
what?
said, go ahead and,
Guess
pick on
what?
yourself. Like, hey, I messed up. Okay, I'm glad that's out the way. Now let me finish it up. Like it's all right. We're not robots. We're human beings and we're going to make mistakes. So we got to give ourselves more grace. We got to let ourselves off the hook. Things don't have to be perfect. But the more you practice, the better you get out stuff. And like you said in the beginning, or 2 years ago, you didn't want to do it. But then after those 30 days, after that challenge, now you're speaking with no issues, you're confident, and that's the thing, the more reps you do, the more confident you're going to get, the better you're going to get at whatever it is. It doesn't have to just be public speaking, but cooking, whatever it is. If you're trying to learn a new skill, doing your makeup, whatever it is, the more we do it, the more we practice, the better we're going to get. So we got to stop being afraid and go ahead and get started.
Just do it. Just do it. And
Absolutely.
guess what? People are still going to judge you and they're still going to talk about you and they're still going to have whatever to say. And, right? You've got to
Exactly.
really get focused on what it is that you want, right? So
Right.
it's never, and I say this, I've never been criticized by someone who was doing better than me. It's always the people sitting on the sideline with nothing else to do that has all the stuff to say.
Right.
And we spend our time trying to please people who will never be pleased no matter what. So
Right.
just do you and
Right.
lean into people who are going to encourage you and clap for you, even if you mess up.
Right.
You're leaning into what you want instead of running away from what makes you afraid.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that because that's so true. A lot of the people who are hating, who are talking, they bought tickets to watch the show. They bought tickets to see you perform, but they got so much to say, but they'll never get up there. So a lot of people who are criticizing, hate, and commenting, they're not doing nothing anyway, because like you said, the people who really are building and doing what they need to do, they don't have time to talk about anybody else because they're too busy focusing on their thing. And
And
so,
they're inviting you along on the journey. They're like, come on with it. I mean, we can
right,
figure it out together, right?
exactly.
People
They're
who really
supporting.
want to go to the next level really will be the ones that will support you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So we gotta ignore the people who just talking noise because they don't like you anyway. So nothing you do, like you said, is ever gonna matter, or they're not gonna ever give you the approval. So stop seeking approval for people and do what makes you happy and become your best self. And don't compare yourself to anybody else, but compare yourself to how was I a day ago, a week ago, a year ago, and let that be your measuring tool, but not the rest of the world. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Tisha, for this beautiful conversation. I really love it. And I enjoyed our pre-convo and I enjoyed this one as well. But what were you about to say?
I'd like to ask your group if you are in midlife, going through menopause, divorce, life changes, come on over and join us at our Facebook group, the Midlife Makeover Movement, and let us love on you, provide
Yes,
you with some support and some encouragement. I would love to see you, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And,
absolutely. And
and don't let no good trauma go to waste. Share it to help and save somebody else.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was going to say, how can people follow you? How people can find out what you have going on? So you have your Facebook group. Is there anything else?
Yes, so you can follow me on Facebook at the Midlife Makeover Movement. It is a private group, so it is for women in midlife going through the transitions we talked about. You can find me on YouTube at Tisha Mitchell and the Midlife Makeover Movement, and you can find me at my website Transform with Tisha, where you have a free download on how 10 ways that you can make over your midlife.
Wow. So, ladies, if you're in your midlife crisis, you just heard it from Tisha. You do not have to do it alone. She has a Facebook group, she has a free download, and we all love free things. So, you need to sign up. I'm going to get her links from her after we finish talking, and I'm going to attach all the links to this video. So there's no excuse. You can like, follow, and get involved because you don't have to suffer alone. If you got nothing from our conversation, is that life is going to happen. Nobody's perfect, but we don't have to do it alone. We can find a community that can help us, support us, and we can still become our best selves. We can still
Absolutely.
change our story. We can still accomplish what we want to accomplish. And there's someone out there willing to help us, coach us along.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm here for you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak on your platform. And I love the work that you're doing. I appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. I love your work and thank you for sharing. And I'm going to have your links out. And I hope I get to work with you in the near future, Miss Tisha.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All righty. Well, I hope
Great.
everybody enjoyed this public speaking in business. I'm going to have another great episode tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And also remember, my webinar is happening in about 15 minutes. So make sure